So let's take a deep breath together as we move into this part of our service. We are still talking about this celebration time. And I promise I'm not going to sing celebration time for you, but I think of it every time I say those words. It's celebration time. And the closer it gets to Christmas time, the more I feel like it really is celebration time. Celebration for whatever Christmas means to each one of us. And of course, celebrating the reason for the season, which is the birth of the Christ consciousness into each one of us. And so today, my topic is, it's your turn. It's your turn. It's your turn. And you may ask, for what? And I'm going to turn that question right back to you. For what? It's your turn for what? Last week, we were talking about what do you really want? And if you have thought about that question at all, what do you really want? If you have contemplated that and just really gotten into the energy of that question, then it's your turn for that, whatever that is. It's your turn for whatever it is that you really want. But let me just give you some suggestions. It's your turn to live your best life. It's your turn to live your best life, no matter where you are in life, no matter what age you are, no matter how many times you've made mistakes or have failed at something. It's your turn to live your best life right here and right now. It's your turn to give up the struggle. It's your turn to give up the struggle. It's your turn to give up the struggle. It's your turn to not even use the word struggle. I've heard people use that word. That's a word I very, very rarely use. The word struggle. Another word that I hear people using a lot is battle. It's your turn to give up the battle. There's no battle. There's nothing to fight against. And I hear people using it particularly when it comes to illness, that someone's battling a particular dis-ease or someone's battling a particular illness of some kind. We don't have to battle. There's no reason for that. So it's your turn to give that up, if that's what you've been holding on to. It's your turn to entertain a new thought. It's your turn to entertain a new way of being in life. It's your turn to take responsibility for your own life. It's your turn to take responsibility for your own healing. It's your turn to take responsibility for your own growth. It's your turn to take responsibility for change. We can't just want change and then be unwilling to change. If change is what you want to see, then you got to be it. And so it's your turn to be the change. It's your turn to be the change. And it's your turn to be open and receptive to receiving the answer to everything that it takes to live your best life. And so that's what I'm inviting us to do today, is to just really claim it, saying it's my turn. And for people who have been taking care of others a lot, putting other people before themselves, I hear very frequently from those people, when is it going to be my turn? Well, it's your turn right now. It's your turn right now, whenever you claim it to be your turn. Whenever you claim it to be your turn. Whenever you claim it to be your turn. And I'm inviting you to do that right now. Inviting you to say, it's my turn. And I'm saying to you, it's your turn. You know, I heard someone say the other day, and I haven't heard this expression in a long time, but I heard someone say, misery loves company. And you know, think about that, misery loves company. And my first thought was happiness loves company, peace loves company, joy loves company, love loves company. But we think more often that misery loves company. And I think it was Mark Nepo who said in his book, the Book of Awakening, that misery is a moment of suffering that becomes everything, that we allow to become everything. And he also says that misery, that we hate misery, but we love its causes. We love happiness and we fail to cultivate its causes. We hate misery and but we love its causes. We love happiness, but we fail to cultivate its causes. And so I think we should switch that around. Switch that around. We want to release the causes of misery and we want to embrace the causes of happiness. We want to embrace the causes of happiness, and it's your turn to do that also. It's your turn to do that also. And so what I'm inviting you to do today is to really start by owning your true identity. Owning your true identity. Who are you really? Own that. It's your turn to own who you are. It's your turn to stand in who you are. It's your turn to be who you are. And it's your turn to be defined on your own terms, not letting other people define us. You know, when we don't define ourselves, other people will define us. And then they will treat us according to their definition or their identification of us, that definition of who we are. We don't know our own identity. They will identify us and then treat us that way. And then we fall right in line and allow them to do that. And I'm saying to you, own your own identity. Own who you really are. Stand in who you really are. Stand in being that one who is made in the image and likeness and out of pure spirit itself. Stand in that truth. Stand in who you are. Stand in knowing who you are, and don't answer to who you are not. Don't answer to who you're not. Answer only to who you are. Don't allow yourself to be identified by others. Don't allow yourself to be identified by circumstances, by situations. Don't allow yourself to be identified by illness. Don't allow yourself to be identified by a diagnosis. You know, oftentimes we identify with a diagnosis and then become identified by that diagnosis and then act like that's who we are. And what I'm saying to you, a diagnosis is a fact. A diagnosis is a fact, and it can be a hard fact. I get that. I really understand it can be a hard fact, but it is not who we are. It is not who we are. Don't wear a diagnosis like a second skin. Don't wear a diagnosis like a second skin. The diagnosis is a fact. The truth of your being is that you are made in the image and likeness and out of God itself, that you are perfect, that you are whole, that you are complete. Stand in that. Stand in that. And really claim that and identify with your wholeness, identify with your oneness with God. Look in the mirror and really identify with your oneness with God. And as soon as I said that, I remembered last week I was talking about the song from the Agape Choir, standing on solid ground. And another verse of that is I looked in the mirror and what did I see? I saw pure spirit staring back at me. When did this happen? When did God's spirit merge with mine? It was before the beginning. It was before the beginning of time. It was before the beginning of time. That's when God's spirit merged with ours, before the beginning. That's when our oneness began, before the beginning. So dare to stand in your own oneness, dare to know that you are one with God, dare to know that you are one with perfection, dare to know that whatever the diagnosis may be, whatever the facts may be of any situation, the truth is that I'm made in the image and likeness and out of pure spirit itself, that God is right here, right now, right where I am, always, that there's nothing that can change that. There's nothing that can separate me from this wholeness, and then allow that wholeness to reveal itself in and through and as your very beingness. That's your true identity. Claim your true identity. Dare to stand in who you are. Dare to stand in who you are. Dare to stand in who you are and answer to nothing else. Answer to nothing else. Don't let external circumstances define you, identify you. Stand in the truth of who you are. Whenever I talk about identity, I always think about the lesson I learned from my granddogs. I had two little granddogs, Yogi and Sweet Pea, and I think I've shared the story before. And it's worth repeating. My little granddogs, Yogi and Sweet Pea, knew who they were. And that was one of the things that I always remember about them, that Yogi had a little red collar and leash, and Sweet Pea had a black collar and leash. And sometimes we would take them I'd take them to pick them up from the groomer, and the groomer would have mixed those collars and leashes up and would have put the wrong ones on the wrong little doggy. And when they come back, sometimes if they were sleeping or whatever, I would see the red leash and just call, Yogi's leash was red, and I'd call, if Sweet Pea had it on, I'd call Sweet Pea Yogi, and vice versa. They never responded to that. They never responded. If I call Sweet Pea Yogi, he didn't respond. If I call Yogi Sweet Pea, he didn't respond. Sometimes they would be in the house and they'd be sleeping on the floor, and I'd want them to move or whatever. One of them would be in there, and I would call, particularly Yogi, I would call him Sweet Pea, And he'd never moved. And he'd be sleeping and I'd say, Sweet Pea, get up. And he wouldn't move. And I would yell at him. And then finally he'd look up, I think, to see just why was I carrying on so, and why was I making so much noise? And when he'd look up, I said, oh, you're not Sweet Pea. And he'd look at me like, no, I'm not. He knew who he was. He didn't answer to Sweet Pea. Sweet Pea didn't answer to Yogi. If I didn't call them by their names, if I didn't call them by their true names, if they knew who they were, it didn't matter which coats they had on. They had different color coats. It didn't matter what leash they had on. It didn't matter what collar they had on. They knew who they were. And so that was a real, real good lesson for me. I always remember that. I always remember that. And I invite you to look at your animal companions, look at your pets and see just how they respond if you don't call them by their true name. If you don't call them by who they really are they going to respond at all? Why don't we take a lesson from that? Because there's so much that we can learn from our grand dogs and grand cats and our own dogs and our own cats, or whatever our animal companions may be. There's so much for us to learn from them. They know exactly who they are, and they are not going to respond to who we call them, or how we identify them. And so I'm inviting us to do the same thing. Know who you are and own your own identity. Own your own identity and stand in that. Stand in that. It's your turn to be who you are. It's your turn to be who you are. And what better time than at the end of the year as we are going into the new year? As we are going into the new year. As we are going into the new year, who are you going into this new year? Who are you going to be when you get there? Who are you going to be when you get there? And so that's what I'm inviting you to do. It's so important for us to do that. Own your own identity. Identify yourself and then stand in that. Stand in that. Don't let that be shaken by anything, because you know who you are. You know who you are. You know you are one with the all that is. Stand in that knowing. Stand in that knowing. Claim your own healing. You have a right to do that. You have a right to do that. It's your turn to claim your own healing. You have a right to do that. And so I'm inviting you also to really be in a place of going first to the answer. It's your turn to go first to the answer. And I always like to say, first stop God, first stop prayer. First stop God, first stop prayer. When things come up, what's your first stop going to be? Your first stop has got to be God. Your first stop has got to be prayer. That's where you got to go first, to the place where you know the answer is, to the place where you know the answer always is. And so I'm inviting you to do that. It's good to seek out practitioners, as I always ask you to work with a practitioner, work with someone who can pray for you, pray with you. But you know, we are each responsible for our own healing. We're each responsible for our own cultivating our own oneness. We're each responsible for it all. And Ernest Holmes says, do not hesitate to know. Do not hesitate to know that you can heal. And he said, you can heal if you know you can, and not until then. Do not hesitate to know that you can heal. And you can heal if you know you can, and not until then. Not until then. So go first to the answer. Don't worry more than you pray. Don't worry more than you pray. And I'll ask the question, are you worrying more than you pray? Because if you are, you're not going first to the answer. Going first to the answer. The answer is always God. First stop is always God. First stop is always prayer. Yes, seeing a practitioner, but we are each responsible for praying for ourselves also. And in prayer, I'm talking the affirmative prayer that we use, not the beseeching and the begging and whatever. It's the affirmative prayer that we use, the spiritual mind treatment that we use in religious science, the scientific prayer that we use in religious science, where we are recognizing that power in the presence of God. We are recognizing that one power. And then we are unifying with that. We're unifying with that, knowing that we are one with that. After we recognize it in that recognition stage, then we go into the unification stage, which is the most important stage of unifying with it, unifying with all that is, unifying with the answer. unifying with the answer. And then once we unify with that, then we can speak our word for whatever it is we want. We can speak our word for whatever it is we desire. We can speak our word for the purpose of our prayer, knowing that it's done because we're speaking our word from a place of unification. And when we're speaking the word from a place of unification, we're speaking a place from that God consciousness. We're speaking the word from that God consciousness. And so that's what we are required to learn to do. That's what is our turn. It's your turn to learn to pray for yourself. And yes, to continue to work with the practitioner, continue to seek out the practitioners, but also learn to be in that place of the answer always. And then once you speak the word into the law, then you can give thanks and then release and let it go. And once you release and let it go, allow the healing to happen, allow the manifestation to happen. It's your turn to do all these things. It's your turn to do all these things. It's your turn to stand in your own power. This is what I've been saying forever. It's your turn to stand in your own power. And this is one of the ways of standing in our own power, because when we're standing in that place of oneness, when we're standing in that place of unification, when we're standing in that place of the answer, then we're standing in our own power, because that power that is the only power that is becomes our power. And it's our turn to use it. It's your turn to use that. And so that's what I'm inviting you to do today, to really stand in the truth that you know. Go to the answer first. Go to the answer first. Go to the answer first. First stop God. Keep that in mind. First stop God. First stop God, not last resort. You know, you hear people say, well, I guess there's nothing else to do now but pray. What? That's the first stop. That is the first stop. That is the first stop. First stop God. First stop prayer. Not, I guess that's all I can do. That's the first thing you want to do. That's the first thing you want to do. And it's your turn to start doing that. And if you don't know how to do spiritual mind treatment, learn how to do it. If you don't know how to do spiritual mind treatment, we have foundations class coming up in the new year. Learn, get into that class, learn how to do it, learn how to pray. And you know what? Don't not pray because you don't know how to do a treatment. Pray anyway. Just pray anyway. First stop God. That's not the only way we can get to God. It's just that's the method that we use because we know that it works. We know that there's a scientific method that we use for prayer. But you know what? First stop God. First stop prayer. And so it's your turn to use that. It's your turn to do that. And then thirdly, just dare to live your best life. It's your turn to live your very best life. It's your turn to claim your own wholeness by living your best life. Because contained within wholeness is love. Contained within wholeness is peace. Contained within wholeness is joy. Contained within wholeness is perfect health. Contained within wholeness is order. Contained within wholeness is harmony. Contained within wholeness is balance. Contained within wholeness is all that God is. It's all that God is. And so in order to allow that wholeness to reveal itself in and through and as our lives, then we have to be in that place of openness, open-heartedness, that place of oneness. We have to be in that place of oneness so that wholeness can reveal itself in and through and as our lives. And it's your turn to do that. It's your turn to be in a place of peace. It's your turn to be that peace. Whatever the quality was that you selected at the beginning of the year that you were going to allow to reveal itself in and through and as your life. And if you haven't started on it, you can start today. You still got another week in this year. So you can start right here and right now to allow that quality to reveal itself. To allow that quality to reveal itself. That's how wholeness gets to really begin to reveal itself in and through us when we are aligned with whatever the quality is. When we align with whatever the quality is that we have chosen, of whatever quality is seeking to reveal itself and is pushing our buttons, that pressing on us, nudging us in the small of our back, telling you to get to stepping and get to moving and to step it up a notch or two. Whatever that is, just allow that to begin to reveal itself in and through and as your life. Allow that to reveal itself in and through and as your life. It's your turn to live your best life. And if peace is what is seeking to reveal itself, allow peace to be revealed as your life. If love is what's seeking to reveal itself, allow love to reveal itself in and through and as your life. Be the love. If light is seeking to reveal itself, if there's darkness and light is seeking to reveal itself through you, allow it to be so. If harmony is seeking to reveal itself, relationships are at odds. This is a time for families. So this is during this holiday season, this is a time that there can be relationship issues that are not always harmonious. Allow harmony to begin to reveal itself through you. It's your turn to allow it to be revealed through you. It's your turn to be in a place of knowing that even with family, that we can be in a place of supporting and not rescuing family. We can, sometimes that's our role in certain family situations, to be the rescuer rather than being the supporter. You know, if you have been a giver, and rather than a receiver, it's your turn to be a receiver. If you've been a taker rather than a giver, it's your turn to be a giver. It's your turn. It's your turn to be in a place of balance. It's your turn to be in a place of balance, of having a balanced life so that you can have the best life. It's your turn. Take it. Take your turn. You know, it's like kids on the playground who when they're playing a game and somebody's waiting for their turn, and you hear a kid pipe up and say, "It's my turn." Or when is it going to be my turn? What I'm saying to you is your turn right here and right now. It's your turn right here and right now. Walk into 2022 knowing that it's your turn and standing in that and saying, "It's my turn." Put your shoulders back, stand up straight, stand tall, and say, "It's my turn. It's my turn to have the best life. It's my turn to experience the allness and the fullness of God. It's my turn to have abundant life. It's my turn. It's my turn to have perfect health. It's my turn to have wealth. It's my turn to have to be that place of revealing the opulence of spirit. It's my turn. It's my turn." And then stand in that and then claim that, because I'm saying to you, it is your turn. It is your turn. It is your turn. Dare to take your turn. Dare to take your turn. And then watch out. Dare to take your turn and then watch out and see what your best life looks like. See what your best life looks like. And it doesn't matter, as I said before, it doesn't matter what time of life this is for you. This is the very best time to do it. This is the only time you have, right here and right now. And so I invite you to take it. It's your turn. Take it. Let's turn within. Just take a breath, just moving into that place of knowing and sensing and feeling God's presence, knowing that that one presence, that one life, that one mind, that one breath, that one essence that is God. I just know that this one is my very life, that this one, there is no other, there's just one, that this one is my life. It is the life of each of us here. It is the life of everything, everyone, the source of us all. And so just knowing this truth, I speak the word for each of us this day. I speak the word of wholeness. I speak the word of faith. I speak the word of trust. I speak the word of just knowing that God is all there is. I speak the word of wholeness revealing itself as healing in each and every life. Healing in each and every life. Healing in every aspect of each and every life. Healing of the body temple that may be experiencing dis-ease of any kind. Healing, knowing that every organ, every cell, every tissue, every function of the body is responding to that radiant healing presence of God. No matter what the dis-ease may be, that radiant healing presence of God moves in and through and as itself, healing everything, making everything new. The healing of relationships, the healing of the heart where there's been loss, where there's been loss, where there's been discomfort, where there's been disease of any kind. That loving, healing presence of God is right in the midst of everything. And comfort is happening. Healing is happening. I just know that that loving presence of God is moving in and through every situation, every circumstance. That God is showing up as whatever it is that may be needed in any life, in any situation, in any circumstance. God shows up as the thing itself. As the thing itself, as all needs being met, no matter what they may be. Where there is lack, God shows up as abundance, as prosperity, as all needs being met. As all needs being met in each and every moment of each and every day. And so I speak this word for each of us. I speak this word for anyone needing a prayer this day, just knowing that right where each person is, the power and the presence of God is. That love is there. That joy is there. That peace is there. That peace of mind. Where there's been discord or chaos, there's peace of mind. There's harmony, there's balance. There's everything that is contained within the wholeness that is God. And so I just pause momentarily as I open this circle of prayer so that you may speak the names of anyone you'd like held in prayer this day. You may speak their names silently or loud, but you may speak them now. And so for all those whose names were spoken here this day, I know that God is right in the midst of everything, every situation, every circumstance, and that healing is happening everywhere. Healing is happening everywhere. This is a truth that I know. This word goes out to anyone on this planet needing a prayer this day, just knowing that right where each person is, God is. For those still recovering from the tornadoes and the destruction and apparent devastation that happened in the last few weeks, those that are still recovering from loss, God is in the midst. God is in the midst of it all. God is showing up as aid. God is showing up as support. God is showing up as whatever is needed, whatever is necessary. For those who continue to be affected by the pandemic, I know that God is in the midst. God is showing up as healing, as wholeness itself. God is showing up as everything. And so I just simply say, thank you, Father, Mother God. Thank you, Father, Mother God, for healing. Thank you, Father, Mother God, for wholeness. Thank you, Father, Mother God, for answered prayer, for the perfect manifestation of this word that's spoken here this day. Thank you, Father, Mother God, for everything, for everything. I know indeed that all is well, for I know indeed that all is God. And I simply allow it to be now. And so it is.